Welcome to the first of 5 Hall of Fame interviews with our first class of inductees. With me is star quarterback, Carmine Pollice, been in the league since day one, and has won many championships, MVPs and all that. We'll get to that in a bit. So we're doing interviews with each of the Hall of Fame inductees, so we'll start with Carmine. So the first thing I want to ask is, obviously everyone has to start at some point, and like I said, you've been there since day one. I know it was pretty hectic getting into the league.
Helmets at the time, yeah.
So yeah, almost. So just to recap for us how it is that you got involved with the league with your first season with the Young Guns.
I got a phone call from Mario Amatucci. He was one of the players on the Young Guns, asking me to come out and help out. This was on the Saturday night. The league started its first night on the Sunday. Went out, we had some fun the first game. Mario and I spent the entire season alternating series as quarterback, just fooling around.
And in later seasons, obviously, you took charge as quarterback. If you had to do it again, I mean, obviously you guys won or had a great undefeated season, but would you have preferred to play quarterback the whole season, or
no.
were you're comfortable with splitting the role there?
No, most guys who know me are aware that I prefer to play receiver than quarterback.
Right, and DB as well. Yeah. Okay. So did you have, prior to joining the league, any flag football experience in any other leagues?
We had played some flag, obviously, in some of the West Island leagues.
Okay.
Predominantly more on the touch side than flag.
That's the thing. And in terms of the touch versus flag, well, it's not really a debate, but how did you feel? Having predominantly played touch football, were there a lot of mindsets you had to kind of get out, little habits you had to break coming into the league, or?
For a guy like myself who doesn't have blazing speed, if you will, flag is a little bit better for me when I have them on me. I can make people miss, whereas in touch, let's face it, I'm not going to beat anyone in a 40-yard dash. So a little bit mindset as a quarterback is, in touch, you can't rely on people breaking tackles. In flag, you can rely on a little bit more of the athletic ability of your players.
So you give your player, you put them in a position to succeed, right? Whereas in touch,
in one-on-one, you can have them make a move. In touch, let's face it, you just reach out and you touch the guy, it's over.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about your touch experience. Now going into tackle, obviously all of our Hall of Fame inductees have some experience in tackle football. Same type of question. Any habits you absolutely had to break? I mean, obviously I know you played with the Stingers, so did you ever have that moment where the ball was up and you just felt like laying someone out? We've seen it happen in this league where it's hard to break that habit.
I still do that now in touch and flag.
There you go.
At the end of the day, when the ball's in the air, it's football. I've always said the difference between touch, flag, and tackle is the ball carrier. It's not when the ball's in the air. Ball carrier, you touch or you flag. Ball's in the air, there's contact. That's what football's about. We're not playing ping pong.
Okay. Now going to because you have played with quite a few teams, obviously you have your core guys that you usually play with, but I mean, starting off with the Young Guns, I think there was a stint with the Beaver Eaters.
Beaver Eaters who became the Sharks.
Sharks, yeah.
There's games with the Maroons.
There was the Kings at some point, Notre Dame, yeah.
I've got
and then a whole panoply of Gino DeFazio teams as well, as the names just keep changing. The Empire, exactly. So just talk to us a little bit about the different teams, how you feel. We'll start with the Young Guns, I guess. You knew this question was coming. It didn't end very sweetly for the Young Guns, but what a start. Talk about your experience with that team.
Young Guns was a bunch of guys, buddies from NDG. I had known them for numerous years. Mario Amatucci, Sean Avram, Andrew McDonald, and we went together as buddies. I got called in the last second to almost be more of an offensive coordinator than anything. With Mario Amatucci was a quarterback. We ended up alternating. It worked well. A lot of people don't realize Mario that year put up stats that were equivalent to mine. It was virtually identical. If you had put us together, it would have been a really good quarterback rating. Then, let's be honest, some of the egos got in the way, and we think we're better than we really are. And we lost track of the fact it was supposed to be just buddies playing together.
Yeah.
And certain people got removed from the roster, and when that happened, it stopped being buddy, and that's my main team that I've played on through the years. Like, I've played on numerous teams at the same time. Like, I think I was the first player to play on 2 teams in one season, and the first player to play on 3. But my main team is always about buddies.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll help out
like you did with the Beaver Eaters and things like that. Now, obviously, so you said the Young Guns kind of broke apart prior to winter 2007. Yeah. Some certain players got booted out and whatnot, so the whole thing kind of fell apart. They went into the season with a different quarterback, another Hall of Fame inductee, Kevin Wyeth.
Yeah. And they were the Guns.
Yeah, just the Guns. They lost the name Young. They were no longer young. I guess the youth left with you. But Talk about, now the newer people might not know this, but the Young Guns pulled off an incredible streak at the beginning. They lost 1 game in 3 full seasons.
37
yeah, exactly, and 3 championships. So talk a bit about how that was, being there with the target squarely on your back. You guys only lost 1 game during the regular season. It was to a team of University of Montreal players, the Haters, they were called at the time. Talk a bit about that streak and how it came about, and again, like I just said, how difficult it was to maintain it with the target on your back.
The first year was very hard. I mean, there was two main teams in the regular season. It was ourselves and Lounge 6. It's interesting. They were the favorite team that year, and it's, you know, I get a lot of accolades for being this and that. It's interesting. I tend to miss 1 game every winter season. I missed the Lounge 6 game, and Mario won the game on his own. We were a very good team. Everyone knew what is expected of them. Something I'm known for is we had assigned roles, everyone did their job, we had a lot of fun, and then after every game, the team was at the bar. That's
something that hasn't changed in Carmine Pollice's career to this day.
I keep saying it, we're paying to play, we're not getting paid. If you're not having a good time, question what you're doing.
Yeah. So it's a good point for a lot of people to recall in further seasons. Now let's get more talking about yourself as a player. It's hard for any player to talk about themselves objectively, but I'm going to ask you about what you think your biggest asset is as a player and what your biggest fault is. Now obviously you've played a little wide receiver, center, you've played, and defensive back, but I'm asking mainly as a quarterback. So what do you think is your strongest part? What is it that allows you to have put up the numbers you have over these past few years?
I think I'm a better offensive coordinator than I'm a quarterback.
Okay.
I have a system that seems to work. I put people in a position to succeed, and then everyone on the field has to produce. It's not because I'm what I am or any one player is what they are. It's the team works well together, and on different nights, different people are the hero. It depends on what the defense gives us. As long as everyone does their job, we tend to do okay.
Okay. And then if you had to pick your biggest fault, the one thing that, you know, at a certain point you can't, when you're playing the game, it's not like there's a whole lot of time to process things, but there's certain things that after the game you think, man, I shouldn't have done it like this, or why do I keep doing that? Something like that. Is there anything like that?
I think people know me. I'm a very competitive individual. Well, I do my best not to ever get upset with some of the physical errors. I've watched a couple of videos. I get little tweaks. I rarely get upset about physical stuff. That's why we're not pros. We control the mental stuff. And I will bark at mental mistakes. That's the controllable. It's the only part we can control on the field. I wish sometimes I could turn that off, but that is part of what makes me me.
That's it, exactly. In the end, if you don't have that competitive fire, you wouldn't be able to succeed as much as you have in the past. Let's go to a bit more quick answers here. So first thing I want to say is, what's the best team you played on so far? It's hard to pick one, but I mean...
There's been a lot. I'm going to say best regular season of all time was the Demons in D2 when we had everybody just same page every game.
Yeah. And then if there was a playoff team, not necessarily a championship team, but a team that, you know...
It's going to come down to one of the Young Guns team or the Demons of 07 in the spring.
Yeah, that was a stacked team. All right, best player you've ever played with?
With?
Yeah.
There's been so many. I mean,
you can throw out a couple names. You don't have to limit it to one.
One that no one's going to know, or, well, some football players will know. Best player for the first 3 seasons was Ty Hoas. He was amazing both sides of the ball. He was the initial two-way player of the year. Never made a mental mistake in the 3 years I played with him.
Okay, so that's one guy. Who's the best player you've ever had to play against? So you haven't had the opportunity to play with him, but you've been lined up with them, and either as a defensive back or as a quarterback.
Annoying players.
That works too. That works too.
Obviously, I'd love to put on the same jersey as Keyshawn Thompson.
Yeah.
The man is all over the field. Whoopi is one of the most annoying people to play against, and one of the few that can get me to start trash talking back.
Gets in your head a little
Normally
bit.
I'm pretty good about that, but he gets me going.
But do you find, obviously, as annoying and the mind games and everything, but physically difficult, maybe as a quarterback, that there's a safety and you're thinking, I can't put it away.
Keyshawn.
Always. So Keyshawn would be your pick on that. All right. What's the biggest win in your career, if you had to pick one? They're all great, but I mean, if there was one where you felt particularly satisfied.
I'd like to win every game. I think one of the craziest ones was against the High Rollers. That's spring 07
right,
in the
yeah.
semifinals. I actually dislocated my shoulder with 2 plays left and threw the winning convert with the arm just falling out. That one was pretty cool.
That one was pretty good. Yeah, I can imagine. What's the biggest loss? The one that really bugged you and sticks with you to this day? I know there's one probably.
Can I go back to the Rainmakers a couple of weeks ago?
Okay.
No, let's bring out Pat Chenard. I think he's going to be in these interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Express loss with the Demons.
In the conference finals? Yeah.
I have no idea we lost that game. Yeah, he played lights out. We defensively didn't. I still feel that was the unfulfilled season.
It certainly looked like it. Nobody saw that one coming.
Either one of us would have rolled over what was in the finals.
It was Red Army without a quarterback, yeah. Exactly. That was the true finals, basically. It was a heck of a game, though. All right, now let's change to a different tack. Now, every player has influences on their career. Now, obviously, outside of the field, as a football player in general, you can give them some love. Or also playing in this league, somebody who you saw what they did when they came in night out, and maybe you borrowed some tricks from them, or maybe just your general approach to the game. So we'll start outside the field. When I say outside the field, I mean outside Catalonia, outside FlagPlus field.
When I first started playing the game, off the tackle football field, my first quarterback was Howard Byers. Everything to do offensively is based on what he taught me. I only played with him for 1 year, but if I look still till this day, in terms of the most influence on me as a non-contact football player, it's Howard.
All right. And then on the field, anybody who's chipped in or
that I've played with?
Yeah, that you've played with, or that you've seen play, but obviously it's easier when you play with them.
Obviously, you play with Adi Sharma or Raji Ben Abdelkader, Benny Goodfriend, what have you. These things do rub off on you. Whether or not you use them all the time, it's situational.
Yeah.
And they are off the field themselves. They're great people.
Okay, good. Now we'll talk a little bit about the inaugural class of Hall of Fame members. So I'd just like to get a quick 1 or 2 words about each of the other individuals who have been named along with you. So we'll start off with, you mentioned him right off the bat, incontournable Patrick Chenard. How would you describe him, or 1 or 2 words or anything like that?
Obviously a phenomenal athlete. We know that, playing the University of Sherbrooke, if I'm not mistaken, as a defensive back. He's come a long way. He was originally just a defensive player, worked his way through quarterbacking in Montreal's finest. Still not the prototypical pocket quarterback, if you will. Runs around till the defensive backs fall down, then he hits the open guy. His mechanics have improved.
Quite a bit, but still.
He's still more of a threat on the defensive side than offense, but you can't fault. He's taking the Express from D2 middle of the pack to D1 middle of the pack, which is a heck of a jump, and they won.
And they won last season. Yeah, exactly. All right, Kevin Wyeth.
If I was looking this season, he's the best quarterback in the league. One of the best pure quarterbacks we have seen in FlagPlus Football. I mean, yes, he's surrounded by talent, but obviously he's getting his half of the job done. I've known Kevin for numerous years on the outdoor field as well. So, great guy as well.
All right, we touched on him a little bit before, but we'll go back into it. Keyshawn Thompson.
Like I said, if I could get one player to put on the same jersey as I'm wearing, I would love to play with Keyshawn.
Okay.
I'm fed up of playing against him.
Playing against him, all right, so it's kind of both sides. You want to play with him, but you just don't want to play against him anymore. And the last one...
My favorite terrorist.
Yeah. And your last one, Rashdi Ben Abdelkader. Yes.
One of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Underrated. A lot of people don't give him the full credit for what he's done. He's very hard to contain on a football field, in spite of his larger-than-life size. That
including his hair.
Tend to move well away from the flags. He's known for the spinorama, slight push-offs, flag guarding. We do see that, Raj. He's just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
All right. That's the turn on that. So now I've got a couple questions individually for you. So first thing I wanted to talk about is, obviously you've developed a bit of a reputation both as a winner but also as a demanding person. You touched upon that a bit. Have you ever thought about changing your game to some extent? Will we ever see a kinder, gentler version of Carmine Pollice?
No.
Or no? Same, that's...
No, I demand mental side of things. Physical, I'm sorry, we all drop the ball. I throw the ball right at defensive players. Physical side of things is why we're not pros.
Yeah.
And that's not controllable. Mental side is what you can't control, and if you can't do what's asked, then I don't want you on my team. And yeah, I'm a demanding SOB. I admit that when I join some of the other teams like the Kings or what have you, first negotiation rule is it's my way or the highway as a quarterback. I'm not always the nicest guy, I admit it. And that's who I am. Like, I'm not a bad guy off the field, but on the field, yeah, do as you're asked to do, or else on the bench is there for you.
That's it. And then, so getting onto that, obviously that's a big part of your success. Now, obviously, much was made about the fact that going into the last finals, we spoke about it often, that you've never lost in a championship game in FlagPlus football. What is it about you that allows you to do that? That you don't lose when the biggest game is on the line? Is there something specific? Can you tie it down to one thing more than any other?
I watched the last finals, like they won in spite of me.
It was a rare performance for you in the finals, but generally speaking.
Obviously, when you're making any finals, you've got a good team.
Yeah.
And it's generally not because of just one player. I don't think I've ever played on any championship team where I could say, yeah, it was me. It's, you know, we've done things as a team. In that case, the defense stepped up. I like to think that I'm on the defense as well, which had a factor. I had a much better defensive game than I did as a quarterback. I think I kept throwing the ball to champ in that day. When the chips are there, I mean, it's more people look to the quarterback. They look to his demeanor. Are you calm? Are you confident? Are you ready to go? I treat every play separately, so I rarely let the last play bother me to what's going on next. So
it's all about
in that sense, I do keep an even keel, which helps the offense around me.
So it's all about shutting down your mind and forgetting what just happened, basically.
You can't let the last play affect. I mean, that's one thing I'm known for. Someone can drop the ball, I'll turn around and throw in the next three.
Yeah,
it's irrelevant.
In the end, I mean, it's very easily said, and everyone says that's what you got to do, but to be able to accomplish it is not the easiest thing in the world. And obviously, Carmine Pollice has been excellent at this throughout his years in FlagPlus football. I'm going to give you the floor if you have any last comments to make vis-a-vis your induction into the Hall of Fame, how you feel about it, or anything else you'd like to say, just generally on your years here. Yeah.
If you're being inducted, you played with a lot of good players over the years. You played a lot of years. Obviously, there was a restriction you have to play, I believe, 8 seasons.
Yeah. 10 seasons. 10 seasons, yeah. Not too many people were on the list.
Older than I thought. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, you know, there's spring and winter. It's not actually that long.
Played with a lot of good guys. Had a lot of individual success as a result of the players around me. The quarterback position gets more credit than it deserves. Gets more blame than it merits it sometimes. The league has been phenomenal. It's a great thing. The only thing I could say is to remind some of the guys that you're paying to play, you're not being paid. Take it for what it is. This is not, you know, everything it is to do in life. I see some guys taking this way too seriously. Some of it inspired by
us, absolutely.
Extracurricular activities.
100%. It's kind of
Weppels and the articles.
It's fun, but it has its drawbacks. 100%.
Take it for what it is. It's a fun time. The Weppels and what have you, they make it even more interesting, but don't buy into all the hype. We're not that good.
And on a personal note, when I first wrote my first article for FlagPlus Football, the weekly Extra Point, in 2006, I believe, the first guy to email me was Carmine Pollice. So I appreciate the support early on. Said some very nice words, and obviously when I was being called a young gun apologist or a Carmine Pollice apologist, well, I could say he's a Hall of Famer now, so clearly I was not too far off the beaten path. So thanks a lot for being here, Carmine, and good luck on the rest of the season and in your future with FPF.
Thank you very much.